Welcome to the first of a series of interviews I'm going to be making with some people I admire to some capacity. Today, I have here with me an author, a father, a known carnivore and Bitcoiner, and a good friend, Breno Brito. Breno, how are you doing today, brother?
Yeah, well, I'm extremely honored to be invited to be your first person ever here. So I'm actually really happy about it.
Nice, man. It's great to have you here. Breno and I have worked together in the past translating the Fiat standard. We met there, right? Translating the Fiat standard, right? Yeah, that's one. That's the one.
Yeah, yeah. Now I have all the books here, almost all. There is one that I don't have it here, which is
Mm.
the little Bitcoin book. But I now I'm doing some job interviews, so it's always great to show. Oh, I wrote this book. I translated these other books,
Nice. By the
especially
way, show me the book you wrote, 101
yeah,
Questions
sure.
About Bitcoin. That's
Yeah,
one.
101 questions about Bitcoin. It's a book full of questions and a little bit of figures, images. Some questions, some answers are a little bit longer, but like
Mhm.
2, 3, 4 pages tops. Usually, it's a very short, concise, and direct to the point, straight to the point answers.
Perfect. Perfect for beginners. I'm gonna leave the link for your Amazon page so people can buy your book over here. And you definitely should buy. I have already read it, so I can attest to its quality. By the way, my first question, man, is about this book. Like, you've written a book, right? This is something that many people get owed and they say, "Oh, I wish I had written a book in my life." And you actually did. How was that, man? How did you decide to write and how was actually writing it?
Yeah, it was it was awesome writing it. It was really, you know, when you I don't know about most people. I can't say I was always I was always the strange person in my class. So I can't say like, oh,
Really?
everyone wants this. I'm not really sure about that. But after a while, about reading, studying, thinking, and talking to people, uh, specifically about Bitcoin. I have opinions about lots of other things, but specifically about Bitcoin, which I'm I delve into since 2017, and I'm in love and working with it since then, for the last 7 years. So I saw things, people, uh, nowadays people have trouble to understanding Bitcoin. It's always very difficult. Like there's like some people who are huge Bitcoiners, but their spouses doesn't they don't know almost anything, and they cannot um, teach properly. They cannot explain properly because it's actually a hard thing. It's not that easy. But this is something that I really like. It's getting something that is really hard and breaking it down and trying to put it together as simple as possible, like that, like deconstructing it to like, so any layman can look and get it from the start. So this is something that I write, I like a lot, because this is how I actually think stuff. I'm really bad at remembering, so I try to deconstruct stuff and think from the first principles.
Hmm.
So I went far from the
No, no
original.
worries. That was actually my next question. So you're doing great. Don't worry.
Yeah, and so when I there is this saying, oh, you need to plant a tree, have a kid, and write a book. And I was never I find it interesting, but after a while of thinking about like, oh, they could answer this in this particular way, which I think it's better for people to understand. There is This is a little bit of a misconception. I never saw this particular view expressed in a book. Usually a book, for example, the one, Bitcoin Standard,
Hmm.
this book is great. It's one of the best books about Bitcoin, but I've seen people that read it and didn't get it. They read it, okay, I understand the economics part, but whatever, my currency is not that bad. I can send money to Japan. I talk to my personality broker in my bank, and I pay only $100 to do it, so it's very cheap for me because I'm rich. And so they really don't get it, and they don't get, they have like this, their particular bubble. And if you present just one side of the thing, they are going to look for this one side apply to them, and they won't get it. So in all the books are focused on a specific thing. Like there's one to explain the technical part, there's one to explain the economics part, there was one to explain. So I wanted to do one um, that would express all these things inside of me that I wanted that people knew more about. These perspectives, these ways to understand the technology, to understand the as a currency, as a technology, as culture, as contract, as I bring lots of different kinds of ways into this book. I wanted to express, which I believe it's something that would help people understand it better. It would raise the level of the discussion about it. And but I didn't know actually how. I had this idea. Okay, I have lots of unstructured thoughts. So I want to express it, and I don't know how. And I was like, I had actually more or less two ideas of books before actually getting this one. And I'm not sure if they were great ideas. I just wanted to like contribute to the Bitcoin ecosystem, because they always help me so much. And I think it's a great exchange to give something. The more I give, the more I get it back. And especially if I'm not, the more I give without expecting anything, the more I get it back. If I am expecting anything, it's a terrible. But we can get into this discussion later. Uh, but I wanted to contribute. I saw people have doing great projects, really really great uh, articles, books, and I have written some articles, but a book is a huge thing. So when I was working in Mercado Bitcoin, my friend Claudio Rabin, which is his editor chief editor in Portal do Bitcoin, which is the one of the biggest crypto portals, Bitcoin and crypto portals in Brazil. And I was telling him, oh, I'm thinking about writing a book. I don't know, I have some ideas. And he said, oh, there is a project here, and I have these ideas here. I want to do 101 questions about Bitcoin. And it's just an idea. And this was Friday, and I said, okay, consider it done. So this was Friday. I was in São Paulo. I went to Brazil, to Brasilia, actually. Sorry, I went back to Brasilia, and in during Saturday, I sat down and wrote 160 questions.
You did it
And
all in one sit? You figured all the questions out?
um, not all, because as you go writing, you start. I wrote all the questions. I told him, okay, these are the questions. Now we have to select them. This
Okay.
is just 101, and I wrote like 160, and I had a really huge brainstorm, and like I'd say 90% of the, like 80-90% of the questions were done in that Saturday. But just the questions, obviously, not the answers.
Sure.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and then, but then as you start writing, you say, okay, I need to explain how a transaction, what is a block. But if I want to explain, like if I need to explain what is a blockchain. But if I want to explain what is a blockchain, I need to explain what is a block. And because it's a blockchain, so and what is a block? It's a collection of transactions. So how a transaction work in Bitcoin? So there is a while I was writing, I was discovering the logical, not exactly logical flaws, it's more chronological flaws.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, to explain this higher level concept, I need to also explain this lower level concept. And then also, like, okay, I what are the biggest um misconceptions people have, and so it's a I start looking, and then of course, after writing a good part of it, I send to some friends, and what do you think is missing, so lots of people helped a lot. You were one of one of those, and I
My pleasure.
appreciate it a lot. I'm very grateful for this. Diego Collin, there's my mother-in-law, lots of people, people who actually understand Bitcoin really well, but also people who have no idea what Bitcoin is, which was really good because I could actually see if they were really understanding the concepts that I was trying to portray in the book.
I think that was the most important feedback, I believe, right? From
Yeah.
people who had no idea. I see. There is something that I hear a lot, man, when we talk about Bitcoin, because as you said, it is a complex topic. It's not hard, but it's complex because there are lots of little things you need to grasp. But there are many people who say that the same way people use phones without exactly knowing how they work, people are also going to be able to use Bitcoin without exactly knowing how they work. And so, how do you view that? Do you think that the everyone is going to want to know what a block is in order to use it, or you think it's going to be possible for everyone to use it without knowing all that?
Um, I completely agree with these people that people will be using Bitcoin without. Actually, this happens today.
It
Like
does.
like even you and me, like there's so much things there's so many things about Bitcoin that we only know about, only heard about, we don't even know about.
Yeah.
There's so many, like I host Beat Devs, which is, for those who don't know, is a place that we go once a month and we discuss Bitcoin technology. And like every I am the host, and I every Bit Devs I know like about 70%, if I'm really being like uh, like and not deep. I know 70%, like, okay, I can explain more or less, like in a really high level setting, and being like, I forgot how to say this in English, like generous, being generous. uh,
Mhm.
but and this is me. Imagine other people that are using Bitcoin right now. So this already happens. This we but the thing is, since Bitcoin is so new, there is not a best practice really well established. So and also the stakes are higher because, like, for example, if you don't need to know TCP/IP to use internet, You just open your browser, type facebook.com and or whatever, and browse it. But so you don't need to know, but also the stakes are way less,
There is
way
no
way
money to be
lower.
lost in this case, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you lose, like, I don't know, if you lose your Facebook account, yeah, okay, it sucks, but it's okay. But if you lose your life savings, this is a whole other stuff. So I believe it's kind of there's we need to have like better best practices in, and I believe they will take a little bit longer to be developed as well, because there are new technologies which will help a lot. For example, vaults. When we have vaults, it will be better to keep your Bitcoin in self custody. And so anyways, this is yeah, I believe you don't any no one needs to like know everything, but I like knowing I like knowing more and going deeper. And there is kind of a sweet spot. If you know, if you know enough to be okay, it's great. And this is the purpose of the book. It's for someone that doesn't know anything. They read the book and they know enough to be from for this for themselves.
Hmm.
So they now can, after reading the book, they can read the news and understand if the news is bullshit or not, because there's lots of bullshit being talked about this topic. It can go find another places to learn more as well, and be able to learn more, because the most problem when you're trying to learn something new is the part that you don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you know you don't know, you can go, you can search the web and try to understand. But if you don't know you don't know, you're just lost. You it's nothing works, and you're kind of in desperation.
Yeah, you mentioned two very interesting things. You mentioned about best practices and the sweet spot between like not super superficial, but also not super super deep as well. And I think that's interesting because, and I have fallen into this mistake before when trying to explain Bitcoin to other people. I try to explain what an UTXO is, for example. I think which is a terrible idea, but because it's very new, we still don't have the best practice. Like when I teach English, oh, we start with the verb to be. Everybody starts there because it's the easiest part to understand, but we still don't know what is the easiest part to explain from Bitcoin, right? So so we don't even know where the sweet spot is. But then your book is going to be for someone who's looking for the sweet spot. They're not going to like read the book and become a Bitcoin core developer, right? They don't need it.
Yeah,
They're just going to know
yeah.
what's happening, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If they want to be a Bitcoin core developer, I put lots of information links for them to learn more. This is not the purpose of the book, so if you want to learn more, it's great. I totally encourage you to, and you can look it here, and it's already really well written and way better than probably I could ever do. Go there, and it's great. But most people, they don't want to be core developers. They just want to know what's happening. Like my uncle, I was talking to him when I launched the book. He
Mhm.
told me that oh, this book is perfect for me, because I'm in my job, and everybody's talking about Bitcoin. I just shrug and hide, because I have no idea what they're talking about. I try to be away, because I don't want the embarrassment to be the only one that have no idea what they're talking about. So if so this book, it will change my life. So so it's amazing. And it's actually like, when I wrote the book, I wrote for myself, my 2013 myself, my
Uh-huh.
2013 self, uh, which is Breno in the university. I was graduating from electrical engineering. I knew about Bitcoin, and I wanted to learn more about. I actually found lots of informations. I met Jameson Lop more or less at that time,
Hmm.
uh, and he had this his Bitcoin page website. He already had a collection of Bitcoin information, and I opened there, and there was so many links, so many stuff. I was paralyzed. I actually never even clicked one of their links, because there was the paralysis of choice. There are so many things, so many places. I didn't know which one was the best. I didn't know how to choose. I didn't know and also I didn't know anything about it. I just know it was kind of a quote unquote libertarian coin, and I was curious about it. I didn't know if the links were trustworthy. I didn't know anything about this, so it was very recent, all very new. And yeah, so now, if I had this book, I would kind of have a really quick understanding, really quick grasp of the basics.
Wouldn't be
And
so overwhelmed.
yeah, I wouldn't be so overwhelmed, and I would be much more confident to understand other things. Imagine you are like kind of you're from humanities, you're a layman in all tech stuff, and you open a web page, and the first thing is that it's saying about UTXOs in a blockchain P2P system. Like, you
What the
just
hell is
close it.
that?
It's and you read it, and you read it, and you read it, and it's using, and it gets worse, and saying private key, public key, cryptography, and blockchains, and UTXOs, and it never explains any one of these concepts. So you get like terrified. There's lots of things in technology. I'm a kind of hard science guy. More I like STEM, science, technology, and mathematics. I love it, but I get frozen when I go to some web pages to learn something about a new concept, a new technology, and you open it, and it's just jargon. It's just jargon. You cannot comprehend anything. You feel you're stupid, and you don't even like. And sometimes you get one of these jargons, and you look for it, and the explanation of this jargon, it's like more jargons, and more, and some really, it's really messed up. I have a really almost trauma with computer science things, because they're the worst people from all to explain what they do. They always explain as if the other people already knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, it's I have the same experience. I thought you mentioned something very interesting, right? That you had to follow some links that Jameson Lop directed to. Like you said you didn't know if the links were trustworthy. So I just thought that you first had to trust so that you could verify it later, right? So I think that is very funny.
Yeah,
And
it's and kind of, Bitcoin kind of works a little bit like this in a sense. Like, for example, when you run a node, you need to connect to other nodes, right?
mhm,
But how do you connect to other nodes if you don't know any node, if you don't have any information of any node? So how Bitcoin solves it and some people criticizes for it, but I'm not sure if there's a better way. Is there is a set of trusted nodes hard coded into the system. So you connect first to these trustworthy nodes, and then you from them you start exploring the network, and then you connect to random nodes. But yeah,
There is
you
trust,
with
right?
this problem. It's a real problem.
No, yeah. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's something that is actually good, but in a deeper level. But I want to touch on something. First, you mentioned that when you started learning about Bitcoin, you were first in touch with Jameson Lopp. And Jameson Lopp is he American or Canadian?
I believe he's American.
He's American, right?
He's American.
So you had to start learning about Bitcoin in English. And I remember that when I started learning, even if when you're learning Portuguese, and I learned on that channel Ideias Radicais, right? From
Hmm?
Rafael Lima.
Yeah,
And then he started saying stuff like hash rate, blockchain, transaction output.
all the jargon.
Even if you are learning in Portuguese, you're going to have to deal with that. So I
Yeah,
would like to ask you a question here, which is a little bit for my public. Like, would you have been able to learn so much if you didn't have English on your side on that case?
of course not. Of course, it's kind of, dude. The word is in English. It's if you don't know English, you're excluding 7.5 billion people. It's it's you're excluding yourself. You're not like, oh, they don't have. You're excluding yourself to the possibility of 7.5 billion people, of knowledge, of connections, of opportunities, of everything. It's like the when I was when I started in Bitcoin, when I first heard of Bitcoin in more or less 2013, there was simply no content in Portuguese at all. So there was kind of there was like one exchange, I believe Mercado Bitcoin, but um, I don't know.
Was Daniel Fraga already making videos at that point?
Yeah, actually, he was, but I didn't know Daniel Fraga
Yeah.
well enough.
But
I
he was
knew
the
that.
only voice for Bitcoin in Portuguese at that time.
Yeah, he did something like something like podcasts. At the time, we were not calling podcasts, I think, but it's something like this. He was talking like for hours, and I hated this kind of content. The
Mm.
way that not the content itself, but the structure. I took years to start enjoying podcasts. So I never watched a complete Daniel Fraga's video.
Yeah,
So so
it's
yeah, I
funny though. I
didn't.
recommend.
Yeah. Well, maybe later. I'm now it's I don't know if maybe it's kind of outdated, or I don't know. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
but he was a visionary in many ways. It's funny that you mentioned like you entered Bitcoin in 2013. Every time I hear stories like that, in 2013, I was 15 years old. I was playing League of Legends like there was no tomorrow, you know. I wish like, oh my God, that 15-year-old Rodrigo should have been, I don't know, working at McDonald's to buy Bitcoin or something like that. It's always funny.
Well, I could have, but in 2013, I actually have an email. I can send it to you a print.
Please do,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I sent to my girlfriend at the time, and I said, "Oh, too bad that we took so long. It's we lost the track.
It's never too late to enter Bitcoin. Yes,
It's too
very well
late."
put. Yes, very well put.
Yeah, I said it in 2003. I have the proof. Oh, it's too late. I we lost it. So it's so there was there was already some there was still faucets where you could get free Bitcoin. And
Oh,
I don't remember how much. It was 0.00 something, or I don't know, I don't remember. But it was, oh, this is kind of like 2 cents of real. It's better to buy. But I also didn't buy because I didn't trust any exchange. My money, I they will I don't I have to understand it better than buy it because I can lose it. But now that I think, like, if I just got, I don't know, that time, 1,000 reais would be a lot for me, maybe. But if I got, like, I don't know, 100, 500, or something that it wasn't much, if I happened to lose and just bought it something in,
uh-huh.
it would be, even if I later lost it, but it would be much better, because if I had it, uh, when I first bought it, when I first had something, this I had the urge to, okay, now I have some Bitcoin, and I need to know how to keep it. And
Yeah.
I had the urge to learn when I had it. So when I didn't buy anything, I was like, oh, I need to learn. And then, but I don't have time right now because I'm in a new job. And but when I had it, when I okay, it was 2016. I saw Bitcoin rising, 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 and I said, okay, it's been too long. I talked with a friend from tech, and I how do I do it? How what can I do? And he told me some things, and I finally bought it. And it's when I bought it that I actually went out and learned. And
Yeah.
okay, now I have no excuse. I have, I don't know how I bought the first time I bought it. I bought $100, which was at the time 200 reais.
Oh my God. Good times, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And that was okay. I have 200 reais. I cannot lose it. I need to. And then I went I went all in learning, not
Yeah. You went
with
down the
money.
rabbit hole, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I bought it in December 2016, the first time I bought it. And in 2017, I was building a company of a Bitcoin company. So
Nice. Yeah. That's what I
that's
call all in. I'd like to ask you something about that because you said you took a while to take that first leap into Bitcoin. Would you say that Bitcoin made you more comfortable or more averse to risk? Because for me, man, like I learned to take the opportunity, but I also leave my money on the hardest asset ever because I don't want to lose it. So it's an interesting like dichotomy. What do you think?
yeah, it's it's really funny because risk, it's it is a very convoluted concept, because if you're not risking anything in the short term, this is the biggest risk for the long term.
Oh, I'm gonna clip that. Amazing.
Yeah, like, for example, if you never risk anything, you like, if you don't take, I don't know, if you don't take maybe 1 month of sitting down and learning something to get a better job, in the future you won't progress your career. If you're always in the same job, for example, if you're always in the same job, and because you don't want to risk it, you don't want to be unemployed, and you're doing like the best, but like the best way actually to improve your salary, to grow in your career, is most often than not, like, going to another company, because if you are trying to build a career in one company, it takes years. But if you're like a junior, starts as junior, and people say, oh, but you entered like 1 year ago, you don't uh, um, you're still junior after 1 year. But sometimes, like, I there's examples this in a company for friends that I worked with. There was a girl. Her name is Trix. She's like amazing. She was really, really, really smart, and she was young. She was as a junior data scientist in Mercado Bitcoin, and there was a huge layoff, and she was unfortunately laid off, and she was very, very sad, very upset because of this. But after, I don't know, 2 3 months, she was hired as a senior. Like, she worked about 1 year as a junior, and she was hired as a senior. And it's not like, oh, but she was really good, and if she was like trying to progress inside the company,
It would have taken a lot longer.
yeah, a lot longer, and she wouldn't and if she could, because sometimes for a company to progress you, they have to have a vacancy. So okay, now we have a spot. Now we can like kind try to promote someone. There's company bureaucracy,
Yeah.
but well, this is one example. There's plenty of different examples. So coming back to Bitcoin, um it's it's kind of a short-term risk, because of course, if there's a Bitcoin, there's a lot of fluctuation in purchasing power, right? In 2018, the Bitcoin went to $20,000 to $3,000 in 1 year.
I remember
So
that.
I was there, and it was frightening as hell. It was my first bear market. But uh, after you build, you progress in life. If you have you build your stuff, you can you have a, in Portuguese we say like a liquidity caution. uh, uh,
Hmm.
I,
You
I
have
I
leeway in English, perhaps. You have some leeway to do the.
yeah, it's like some fat to burn.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need a little risk in the short term, so you can be more risk averse in the long term. Yeah. That was very smart to say, man. I'm gonna tweet that later. Very nice.
Yeah,
And
yes, that's it.
one thing that I wanted to touch before we wrap up is that um, when I teach English, man, many people find excuse after excuse after excuse to not learn English right now. Just like you found many excuses to not enter Bitcoin right now. But today, I see that you are not that kind of person. And this is one of the things I admire about you. For me, it looks like you're always doing something. Like you're writing a book, then you're in data science, then you're into AI, then you're having a kid, then you're hosting a Bit Devs. How do you find this energy, or what mental frame do you need to have, or you had to change to stop delaying stuff, to stop pushing stuff to the future and just doing stuff and taking that little small risk right now?
Oh, I believe I'm the worst person for answering this question, because the thing that I think that the reason I do so many stuff, it's because I have ADHD.
Uh,
So I always been the person that wants in Portuguese. I don't know if there's a an expression in English, but in Portuguese we say like, I want to hug the world with my legs. So so I always wanted to do more than I can, and actually, this actually leads me to paralysis. This makes me I lots of times I'm studying a lot. I like studying, and I like I like a lot to understand how things work, and but there's so many cool new stuff happening all the time that I'm always okay. I learned this new stuff, but oh, this there's this next one really cool, and I learned this one, and I learned, and after a long time I did a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff, and I actually didn't execute anything. I didn't actually do anything. So this is a struggle that I fight every day. It's This is something that I always try to limit. It's kind of strange. I need to limit my study time so I can
Hmm.
try to apply it more.
Hmm. Okay,
Uh,
so the idea is not to do many things, but it's to focus down on one thing at a time.
yeah, this was extremely crucial for me. I always did a lot of stuff. I don't know if you know, I played a harmonica in a band for 6 years.
I had no idea. Nice.
Yeah, if you I can send you, remember, I can send you the link on YouTube. I have some performances on YouTube, and I did lots of different stuff. I love martial arts. I love too many stuff. So there was a time in my life that I need to consciously focus, and I say, okay, I will never progress in life being like the jack of all trades, master of none. I need to focus a little bit. I tried to focus on one, but I couldn't, because yeah, I can't. But but I tried to narrow down the best I could, and the best way that I could is to narrow down. Okay, what is something that I really like, that I it can get me money, and I don't remember, but it's especially something that I really like. It's promising, that it keeps me excited. There's always
Mhm.
for me, I know I love new challenges and love new stuff to learn. So what that I will always have new stuff to learn, that it will always be a challenge. I'll always be studying. It won't ever be boring. It won't ever be okay, I learned everything there is to know, and now I just apply it and I'll be comfortable the rest of my life. This is not something that I want. This is not the best
That
life for
sounds
me.
like hell, man.
Yeah, that it's paradise for some people, and it's hell for me. I would be very bored, and even for things that I actually like, I need to change my focus constantly. So what I did is I was working in the financial markets for some years. So and I have a pretty good grasp of it. I have a and I really like financial mathematics and quant finance. So this is one part, and I had like I kind of had a career there. So that was one part. The other part was Bitcoin, which actually fits really well with quant
Mhm.
finance,
Damn right.
because we also need maps. We also need technology, and this is something that I'm really passionate about, more than professionally. I'm passionate about, like, for life. I think that Bitcoin is something that
Something that
could change the world.
Man,
And and the third thing is something that I always loved as well. Actually, it was the first, which is AI. My first neural
Mhm.
network, I did it in 2010. 2010, I created a neural network which we could play an instrument, and it recognized which instrument it was playing.
Damn, so you have been way ahead of the game for a while then. Nice.
Yeah, kind of. This was like 14 years ago, and I saw the development of the AI ecosystem from close. But the thing is that when I graduated in 2013, there was no jobs using AI at all. I tried to be a data scientist, but there was one company that was hiring for data sciences. For data science was a relatively unknown company that just was created at the time. I don't know if you know it. It's Nubank.
Yeah, just a small startup, right? I think I heard about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I had an interview with them, and but the salary expectation, I would have to move to São Paulo with it was not like a terrible salary, but I did the calculation, and probably I would need help from my parents to be there. And I didn't want to move from I didn't want to move from home and still depend on my parents.
Yeah.
So I didn't go there. And there, that's it. That's the only job in data science in Brazil. So and there and so I went to the financial markets, and I always try to like uh, tell people we can use data science, we can use AI for finance. They, yeah, maybe later. And I was always trying, I was always learning. I was doing courses in Coursera, which was also founded in 2013, 2014, and I did the first courses there in data science, machine learning, AI. And this is something that I decided, okay, this is something that I don't want. This is very useful. This is not only something big, that but it will always become bigger, and it will always become better. And I don't want to lose this aspect, although I didn't had like professional experience, more or less,
Mhm.
because I wasn't actually hired as a data science up to that point. But I wanted to. I knew that I could, and I knew that I would like, and I knew that I would be good at, and I knew that I would get good money. So yeah, I this was my three pillars of knowledge that I and everything that I tried that goes from it. I kind of try to see, okay, this is one of these three things or not. And actually, there some I always actually learn more stuff, but I try to limit them much more fiercely than these other three themes or topics.
Of course. So the takeaway, right? If you want to accomplish as many things as Breno has, find a way to get ADHD and fight it. That's the best way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice. Man, if people want to follow you and see the stuff you have been doing, where can they go?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, if Twitter is still on.
It will
If
be.
you,
It will be.
I hope so. I hope so. I Twitter is my main source of knowledge nowadays. I learned so much in Twitter.
Yeah.
It's at Breno RB, which
Perfect.
is my name and my surnames, the first letters of my surnames. And also, if Twitter is shut down, you can go to Nostr. And my I just did npub there. I don't know the name, but it's like an email that you can use it to follow people on Nostr. And it's Breno RB. I believe it's at Zep or Zeps.lol.
Absolutely. I'm gonna put everything on the description so you don't so you're it's gonna be able it's gonna be easy for people to find it. Don't worry about it. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I'll send to you.
Nice. And don't forget to send me the videos of you playing the harmonic. I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Banana brother, thank you very much for this conversation, man. It was great to have you. And I had some questions over here I was not able to ask. So I'm gonna have to invite you again in the future, right?
Yeah, sure. I talk too much. It was really fun.
No worries, man. It's a pleasure. That's exactly why I invited you, man. Really. Thank you very much, and I see you next time.
Thank you.